with Nicole. Conversations with Nicole. Let's talk about it. Tell me all about it. I'm here. I want to know what's on your mind. Ooh, the world needs to hear from you, and I'm so glad to have a conversation to reach the nation. And it's all about you. We'll help each other to discover innovative ways to positively change the world. Let's talk about, let's talk about, yeah. Let's talk about conversations with Nicole.
Greetings. Happy Monday. Welcome to Conversations with Nicole. I am Nicole Everett, your host. And Conversations with Nicole is a talk show based in Tallahassee, Florida, focused on connecting the community through conversations. And today is what I call Mindset Monday. Mindset Monday is an opportunity for you, me, and my guests to have a conversation about whatever it is we want to talk about. And today we are talking about memories. Memories. How intimate are you with your memories? Is your memory your enemy? And facts versus perceptions as it relates to memories and how to create new memories. So we are live on Facebook, on YouTube, and on the Greater Works Network on RokuTV. So tag a friend. Let them know that they need to be on here. Like and share, like and share, like and share. And I want to hear from you before I bring on my very special guest who is like family now because he's been on here so often, Mr. Ozzie Daniel. But I want to hear from you. So in the comments, let us know, where are you tuning in from? Where are you tuning in from? I see you, Cousin Denise. Cousin Denise be right here, boy. I appreciate that. She is out of Texas. And my man, Maine Shula, right here in Tallahassee, is on live with us tonight. Man, appreciate you being here. So we are closing out the month of August. And we have the closer on. I call him the closer because he helps us close out the month. So Ozzie, who is very engaging in the comments, normally will be on the screen tonight talking to us about memory. So this is an interactive live, and we do fully expect to hear from you. So we want to hear your questions. We want to hear your comments, or at least read them. So please engage with us tonight. I see you, Key Boykins out of VA. Thanks for being here. Good evening. Good evening. So while the rest of you are tuning in, I'm going to go ahead and read some of Ozzie's bio for those of you who are new to the crew. So Ozzie considers himself a servant leader, enriched in life coaching. He served in the Navy for 20 plus years, and during that time spent 7 years of his life out to sea. He served in Iraq and Afghanistan in the same year. And during his time overseas, he played and coached softball and traveled to different regions of Europe. When he got back, he earned his Bachelor's of Arts in Psychology, and he also went on to get his Master's of Science in Leadership. During the time that he was working on his master's, he worked in the field of healthcare at a psychiatric center, and then as a contractor as a case manager for Virginia Support Services as a family clinician coordinator, mental health skills builder, working with adults. Since the pandemic, he has supported faith-based platforms, enlightening, teaching, encouraging, and sharing insight on the Word of God and relevant areas of living and how it applies in our lives spiritually, physically, and mentally, which he will be doing with us tonight on Mindset Monday. So his favorite quote and saying is, "No one cares how much you know until they know how much you care." So help me welcome our own Dr. Oz, Mr. Ozzie Daniel.
Good evening. Hello, hello, hello. Yes, my Moringa family.
Your Moringa
For those
family.
who know,
Those who know,
good
indeed.
evening.
Good evening.
Hello, Nicole, and thank you for having me here one more time
My
to be
pleasure.
in
One
your
more
presence
time.
far away.
Closing out August. Closing out
Yes,
August.
another month. Can you imagine that?
Mm-hmm. I
The
know.
year, the year is done. The year
Yeah,
done.
pretty much.
Pretty much done.
Pretty
I
much.
mean, done. The weather's changing.
Mm-hmm.
Favorite time of the year, fall
Mhm.
season,
Yes. Yes.
loving it,
Yes.
you
Yes.
know.
Indeed.
So, welcome. Thanks for everyone who is about to come on, listen in later.
Uh-huh.
Yes,
So,
time to tune in.
Ozzie, tell the people who may not know you, who may be new again to the broadcast, who is Ozzie Daniel? Not what you do, but who is Ozzie?
Yes, as always, that is always a interesting question every time, and I hear it so many times. But every time I have to think about like, wow, who am I? I really believe that I'm a person that is totally evolving, a man of faith, and I choose to be happy. I don't want to be just happy. I choose to be happy. That means every day of my life, I do my best to find happiness in it, to stay positive, and also keep my mind focused. I'm a dad, I'm a brother, I'm a friend. I believe I'm someone, the longer you get to know me, the better it is, the finer the wine, the richer the wine, and all things in that dimension. I really love people, and more I find the best into people. And I try to bring the best out of them too by letting them see who they are, in all capacity. And at the same time, just bringing a smile on their face. And I think I love that even more and more, So I'm an avid reader and I just like to stay sharp, as much as possible and keep my mind flowing with information so I could be able to share with others.
Hmm.
Yes.
Okay.
And
Very,
so much more, as I say, etc., etc., etc.
et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All right. So
All right.
before we get started on this very intriguing topic, I want to read my disclaimer, which is that all topics, past, present, and future, on Conversations with Nicole are for informational purposes only. They are not to be used as a diagnosis for treatment or an answer to any personal issues related to the topic being discussed before, during, or after the program. All right, so you and I talked a few weeks ago,
Mhm.
actually. Oh, wait a minute, hold on. We got to pay homage to mom. Hey, mom.
Hey, Ma.
Yeah. And
What's up? Where's my red beans?
oh my goodness, don't start. Anyway, and so we talked about memories. We said memories is what we were going to talk about, and so I did a little bit of research on it. In fact, looked up the definition of
Yeah,
what
that's good.
memory is.
Right. What tell the people what it is.
Tell the peoples, hold
Tell
on,
the people,
tell the
introduce the introduction of what I was going to share, but you got it.
I'm gonna set
That's a
it up.
good point right
Hold
there.
on, hold
What
on.
is memory there, Nicole?
What is memory? Memory
Uh-huh.
is defined as the mental capacity or faculty of retaining and reviving facts, events, impressions, etc., or of recalling or recognizing previous experiences.
Wow, that's a real big whole definition right there.
It is
That just how many pieces of information is in that one meaning right there.
a lot.
And so basically, just as you place it out, I'm gonna split it up in a pie.
Okay, let's hear it.
Couple slices in
All
there.
right, dice it
You
up
know,
for us.
yeah, you're gonna put a couple slices. What else did you find, Nicole? I find that you've been doing your research again. Used to be there, so you jumping on top of things,
Just,
and I like that. So
just a little, just a
what else
smidge.
did you find?
Well, I found that there are your memory can be impaired by stress and
Mm-hmm.
by depression.
Yeah,
And I also found that recalling happy memories can reduce depression and stress.
exactly.
I also found that associations formed in our memories are major contributing factors to anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
hmm And then I also found some information on triggers, which are the re experiencing symptoms of trauma when exposed to reminders of trauma.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, reminders, memory, when those things come back
Yeah,
in terms of our thinking about them,
right.
it can be detrimental, especially if those were traumatic experiences. So I did a little bit of homework, just a little.
You did a little some. I like that. Good job there, Nicole. Yes.
So break it down for us. Break it down for us.
Okay, so good job there. I like that. I like. I mean, so basically, I'm going to share a couple things when you really come in later because you're going to be like my co-pilot in this study right here. So one thing about memory, we have to really remember, and I would try not to use too many of the psychological words and different phrases. But what I'm going to try to do is really paint a picture so
Mhm.
everyone could be able to understand. Even a 8-year-old could really understand it. So memory is so important because we're talking about a lifespan.
Mhm.
You are your memory. So if you're not really taking the time to really take that seriously, it really going to impact on your life later on as you get older.
Okay.
So, one of the most important thing about memory is the ability to store and use information. And then when you store and use those information, it have to be learned to be remembered. So, if you're not learning, you're not going to remember because the most important thing about memory is actually taking the time to pay attention. So your attention span really have a lot to do with how much you're going to store, and you have a part in your brain which is called the hippocampus.
Mhm.
Okay, and that's a limbic structure that wraps around the thalamus that plays a vital role in learning and memory. Okay.
Okay, so pause right there. All right. So what I heard you say is
Yes.
part of how memories are created are based on your ability to learn.
Yes, that is the most important structure that we're going to use throughout this whole entire session tonight.
Okay.
We're probably going to hear it over 50 times because
Okay.
I want it to really sink in.
Gotcha. Okay.
It come by learning. So therefore, if we're watching television, right, it'll be like it's passive. We're not really learning. We're watching, we absorbing, but if you 10 minutes later after the movies, how much can you really recall is really going to be based on how much you learn and how much it resonated with you during that whole time. So you have the short-term memory and you have the long-term memory.
Mhm.
So the short-term memory takes 2 to 30 seconds.
Hmm.
So if you're not absorbing it within 2 to 30 seconds, it's not going to make it into the long-term memory, which takes 30 seconds to store or even a longer period into a lifetime. And it come on how much time it's being repeated over and over and over. So think, for example,
Mhm.
someone who's singing a song, right?
Mhm.
They come
Mhm.
out with the lyrics and they have to learn the lyrics, right? They learn the lyrics, they got to memorize the lyrics. So how are they going to memorize the lyrics? They're going to repeat it over and over and over and over and over again. So
Okay.
now by the time they repeat it over and over and over again, they have time to get into their long-term memory.
Mhm.
So now when they get into the long-term memory, now the prefrontal cortex, which is another part of the brain, you actually get to store it there by the channeling with there that grows strong synapses for you to be able to hold on to that memory.
Okay. So let me
So,
just make sure I heard you correctly.
mm-hmm,
So your ability to learn
mm-hmm,
is key to memory making.
is key. It
Your
is the
ability
main,
to retain
yeah,
is key to memory making.
right.
And um, it sounds like repetition is also key to long term memory
Yes,
making. Okay.
exactly. So one of the most important thing that I found is emotions have a lot to play on your memory. The
Hmm.
stronger the emotion, the deeper the storage.
Okay.
So the amygdala, which actually is caused with a fight or fear flight, basically, it's basically the emotional part in the brain, which sit right there in the back of your spine, next to the hippocampus. So basically, the region is very close to each other. So the signals actually communicate even much more stronger. So someone that is really emotional when they really express themselves is mostly going to really embed into their mind and into the long-term memory than someone who just nonverbal at all, just no kind of emotions at all. So
Mhm.
that's why you find people to have more stronger memory when negative situation comes along.
Because there's a high emotion.
There's a high emotions going on
Mm.
right there. So
Okay.
now that gets stored, but yet it still could cause damage because now it's not that type of healthy memory that create happiness or basically have you at peace.
Interesting. Pause
Yeah.
right there. I want to get our viewers involved. So, if I heard Ozzie correctly, he's saying emotion also is a major contributing factor to your ability to remember or storing memories. And so, a lot of times, those emotions can be negative around the experience,
Yeah.
and we retain that. We remember those things.
Yes.
Correct?
Correct. But we're going to stick to more positive today. We're
Positive
going to
vibe.
stick on the positive vibes and how we could create and cultivate happy memory and store those memory for us to be able to channel back into to recall. Because if you can't recall, you cannot retrieve.
So I didn't get my question out to the viewers. I
Yeah.
want to know if you believe you have more positive or happy memories or more negative or bad memories. I know
Mhm.
that's very general, but I'm trying to see something. I'm trying to see something. So more positive, give me a thumbs up. More negative, give me a thumbs down. All right. Or put positive or negative in the comments. So type in the comments if more positive, thumbs up, if more negative, thumbs down, or type positive or negative in the comments. All right, we got Mr. Terrence Scott on here. Hey, T. Scott, he said, I guess that's why they always say you may not always remember what someone says, but you remember how someone makes you feel. Yes.
Yes, that's a true statement.
Yes, yes, yes,
Very
yes.
true.
Actually, somebody gave me um, this for my birthday, which says, and this is a quote by Maya Angelou, I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel.
Imagine that. The other
Yes,
confirmation right there.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
So,
Okay, so folks are chiming in, and it looks like folks are saying more positive. And so, listen, this is a safe space, no judgment here, regardless of whatever your response is. So, but I thank you all for being transparent and being willing to share. All right, so
yes.
carry
So
on.
we have a little quiz, right? We have a little quiz,
Okay.
right? Who could remember at 11 o'clock last Friday what they were doing at 11 o'clock. Take some time to see how many people could remember last Friday on the 26th at 11 a.m. what we were doing at that time. Can you recall?
11 p.m. last Friday. Let me look at my calendar.
11 a.m.
Oh, 11 a.m.
Yes, last Friday. You know, it's no pass or fail. It's just showing a point.
Not to the minute. I mean, I think maybe I might have been driving or something. I don't know.
Okay. Now, how many people could remember September 11th, 2001, what they were doing at that time and what was really going on at that time? Can you remember that?
Okay, so some people they're responding to the 11 o'clock last Friday. So T. Scott said, not a clue. Leaving a Herc meeting. Watching Price is Right, says Cousin Raymond.
Okay.
All right, Cousin Raymond. Reading a book, Cousin Denise.
Okay. That's what, okay, good.
All right. So but September 11th, can you all remember where you were on September 11th? In the comments, let us know. And if you know where you were, put in the comments, or what you were doing, put in the comments. Let us know. So I will say September 11th, I was on my way to Sam's, actually.
Okay.
And at Sam's, they when you walked in the door, they had a whole wall of TVs.
He said me too, man. Price is Right. You're watching Price is Right? Okay. She talking about last Friday.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so they had a whole wall of TVs when you walked in.
Yeah. Right.
And you just kept seeing the Twin Towers and the smoke, you know, coming from it.
Right.
And everybody's just standing there like looking like, what's going on?
Right.
You know, just kind of looking around, trying to listen, trying to see, you know, it's on all the stations. There's this turmoil. You see people running, you know, soot filled, everything. So I can, remember.
Yeah. So here it is. Like I remember clearly, I was coming into my work center on the ship, the USS Wasp at that time. And I saw on the TV exactly over and over and over. They keep showing the plane run into the building, right? And the emotions that really took place. Remember, you see emotions that took place. So now you're seeing this thing repeating over and over and over again. And we were in a 5-section duty section, and it dropped down to 3 immediately, and we went into DEFCON 5. So everything about my naval career at that time changed right there and then. And the emotions that came along with that, it really impacted. So now this had enough time to get stored into your long-term memory because now it came with emotions and it really impacted your whole thoughts. So it didn't just get into your working memory, but it got into your long-term memory. So now it created a whole emotional impact that basically drive you for how many, a week or two, to the point that you keep on reflecting, because now it didn't just affect you, it affected the whole nation. So now that event stuck with you.
Yes.
Now, if you go to a concert, you know, you basically, it's going to stay with you because now it become memorable because now your emotions is into it. And now you're going to remember all the details of the event. So another part about learning something, which this is a explicit memory stage that took place. Now it actually got embedded into your emotions that now it really afflicts you in such a way that now you have to know how to cope with it. So imagine the people that were in New York who was real close to the building and actually saw everything taking place. They're taking cover, running for their life, and trying to, out of fear.
Right.
So now this really even impacted even more upon them, to the point now that it became PTSD for some people, because now you talk about post-traumatic stress disorder.
Right. Yeah, no, that's
so see how memory, so now whatever you pay attention to, that's what the effect on your memory is going to take place on. Now the key is what you're learning from it. What did we learn from it? Now you saw security start to go up. Now Homeland Security came about. A lot of things start coming about because of what took place.
Right.
So the awareness even took heightened into a lot of people's mind, because now they say, oh, we need to be more self-aware. So now with self-awareness and attention to self-awareness, now it really impacting on your memory even much more stronger.
Yeah.
So it take place in the mental set. So now this is where you start coming up with strategies on how to deal with the past, and even better strategies and solution to how to deal with the present. So that's the most important key right there. So that's what memory will do. So here it is. It passed the short-term memory into the long-term memory.
I got to give a shout out to Katie. She said, I'm so in love with these CWN, my favorite series, because I don't watch TV. We appreciate you, Miss Katie.
Appreciate
shout
that.
out to
Appreciate
you.
That. I'm glad I'm on tonight then, huh?
I am too.
All right.
I am too.
Yes. So these are the things that we have to really, really pay attention to now. So here it is in the hippocampus. Now we have to remember that we forget easy, because if we're not paying attention to it, say for example, right, you're going on a date, right? Or you sitting amongst friends around the table, and a couple of strangers came about, and they came and introduced themselves. So now you paying attention to what they introduced themselves. They say, my name is Ronald. So that's something about that person have to catch your attention for you to remember their name. Otherwise, you're going to be asking that person, what you say your name was again? That's how quick you can forget, because you have a short time between the short and the long-term memory for it to really go into storage. So here it is think about a server. It holds a lot of information. You could go on there and pull up whatever information from the server to retrieve it. So sometimes you don't even have time, depending on your stress level, to get that information from one area in the brain to the main part that it needs to stay in for you to remember. So think about it. For instance, many people in high school or in college, you got an exam. So what do you normally do when you have an exam? You have to study.
You got to study.
You got to study and remember a couple things,
right.
couple pointers. Read the chapter. So the person who read a chapter before they come to class, they end up learning more and storing more information than somebody who came in blank.
Okay.
Yeah.
So somebody who reads a chapter right before they went to class.
Yes, they have more chances of learning more and storing more in their brain than someone who just never even read a chapter.
Okay.
Now, they may have good listening skills, but they won't be able to retain better than the person who actually put the time into it. So attention to it really, really take place when someone take the time to read. It's called priming. So you have the implicit type of memory where you take personal and exposure to some stimuli, so here it is, you'd be able to take these information and be able to either color it or visualize it or hear it, so you could be able to retain it. So this is the part they call the sensory memory. Right.
Okay.
So that's where, your eyes, your ears, your touch, that's a sensory memory right there. But now, how does it play a role into your learning? It really comes with your imagination.
So pause right there. I want to just do what I call the station ID for those of you who are just joining us. I am on with Ozzie Daniel, a qualified mental health professional based in Virginia Beach, Virginia, who is a regular here on Conversations with Nicole. I call him the closer because he helps me close out the month. And so we are talking about memories, we being our memories. Also, story memories, short-term memories, long-term memories, and we are getting ready to dive into facts versus perception, because
Right.
I have some thoughts around that as well. But we've been talking about memories and how emotion is tied to our ability to remember certain events or experiences.
Right. Which is called explicit memory.
Explicit.
That's dealing with facts and events. Now, the implicit memory is dealing with knowledge, for dealing with on behavior and physical skill that we have learned. So these have two different skill set on how we retain it. So if we have, like, you go to an event and you're paying attention, you're excited, and you're looking forward to this band that is going to play, you're going to be quite more observant than someone who is not really interested into it at all, because you'll be able to remember the details, what they were wearing, what song they sang, the order that they sang the song, and it really came by your attention to it. Just like Saturday, I went to the Jazz Fest, and one of my favorite artists is Brian Cumbleton. And he actually came out with his band. I knew exactly what side he came out on the stage. I know what color they were wearing. I know exactly how everything was played out, because here it is, I'm focusing on the music. Some of the songs I could recall, some songs I never heard of. So it was brand new to me, but I was well in tune with what was going on. So here it is, my explicit memory took place into this event. But now it gets stored into my long-term memory because I paid attention to it. So now next couple of years, I can remember, oh yeah, this person performed on this day. This person did not come because of COVID. So all of these things are able to line up.
Question.
So these are stuff that we need to remember in really practicing in paying attention. Do you remember at one time years ago, when we were little children, right? Remember the rotary phone, right? So it wasn't no cell phone or anything like that. So guess what we had to do? You had to remember those digits, right? So you either write it down or you memorize it.
Right.
So like my mom, she could remember every one of us, her children phone numbers. She could remember all of our phone numbers. Why? Because she remember it. She memorized it to the point that now it's embedded in her brain, in her mind. So now it's easy for her to retrieve and recall because she's repeated, she dialed it a few times by memory. So the key is technology could really help us, but yet it could damage us in the same token, because most of us, when we have to call someone on our phone, we just basically say their name and they dial, or we just swipe to the right or swipe to the left and we call that person. But now if we lose our phone, now we're relying on Google, to back up to store all our numbers. So here it is, we allowing technology to do all the remembering for us, and we not remembering our own self.
Right. So,
So
Ozzy, had
yes.
you found that maybe bias has a role in our ability to remember? And so, when I say bias, what I'm talking about is maybe you think about a person or an experience in a favorable way,
Okay.
and that may cause you to remember more. Or how do you say it? You say, what do you call it? You called it something. Oh, that it resonates with us.
Right. Yes. And, I look at it this way, everything that you just said is correct. But if you're not paying attention to it, or you know how we hear that saying, like, I'm not feeling this, I'm
Mm-hmm.
not feeling that person. Well,
Mm-hmm.
guess what? If you're not feeling it, you're going to forget it.
Mm.
Just like
Mhm.
your last meal. You
Yeah.
enjoyed it, but if you ask a couple people what they ate 2 days ago for dinner, they won't be able to recall it.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because it didn't have time to censor into their memory so it could be implanted there, because their heart was not totally into it.
Mm.
So therefore it's just basically it forgot. Okay. And it's okay to forget, because this is where sleep is so important.
Sleep.
Because yes,
Wait a minute. What sleep got to do with it?
because during your sleep cycle, all the consolidation take place in your memory.
Hmm.
Your everything you learn throughout the day while you're awake, while your eyes is closed, it's consolidating everything that you learn, and it's really putting things into places like, okay, I don't need this, shift this to the left. I'm going to remember that because I need that for later. Oh, I'm going to remember this here because this is going to be important for him to do late or her to do later on. So basically, say for example, you have an exam to take, it's best that you get a good night rest than you stay up cramming all night, because it's all about remembering. So sleep during that time, the consolidation part in your memory really compartmentalize everything that you need to remember. So when you need to recall and to retrieve, it come up exactly when you need it.
Hmm.
So that's why living by purpose and living a purposeful life is so important, because whatever you're gifted in and your purpose is in, you're going to retain even much more stronger.
Wow. So, I thought sleep, I was done with sleep. We did a two-part
Yeah.
on it. I didn't know that it had something to do with memory. So that's pretty interesting.
So therefore, if your sleep time is very short, you're going to forget even faster when you get older. The
Mm.
risk for dementia and Parkinson's disease is going to even be even stronger, and it won't just be based on a gene.
Mm.
It'll be based on how much you could store. So remember I said in the beginning, your memory is you. So what you can remember and what you can recall is really going to represent who you are.
Mm.
So
I
even
think,
when you go to work, you have your working memory. You normally going through the same routine over and over. You could do it with your eyes closed. But guess what? It's not really doing anything for your hippocampus, because you're not learning anything new.
mm.
So for you to really have stronger synapses in your brain, you have to continually be learning something, learning. So for example, you master something,
Mm-hmm.
right? Well, guess what? You master how to make scrambled eggs. Just keeping it simple. Man, I'm an art. I know how to make the best scrambled eggs. But now, can you make it over easy? Can you make an omelet? So by learning how to do these little things, now you actually enhancing your hippocampus to even be much more stronger. Because if you're not learning, it's going to start shrinking.
Mm.
And I'm not trying to scare you, is actually the truth.
I can't tell.
Just like stress will shrink your brain.
Mm.
And then it really going to really start sending different, it basically will get disordered. Your organized thinking is not going to be taking place really strongly in your prefrontal cortex, which is right here in the front of our head. This is where we make all our reasoning and all our structuring and cognitive decision making right there in the front of our forehead. So it have to get from the back and make it way up right to the frontal lobes.
Okay.
So we are special. We
So
are
we are,
complex being, and we are unique,
and we are our memories.
and we are our memory.
Mm.
You know, you have some people say, "Oh, blame it on the heart, but don't blame it on the head." You know, I meant to call you. I meant to reach out to you. Okay, yeah, you forget because you really didn't put much attention to it. And it's okay. Forgive, forget.
Mm.
You know, but the thing is, if you're not learning and really applying yourself to learn, it really going to hurt you at the end. Say, for example, I finished school back in 2016, you know, and I went back again and work on my master's because I got so addicted to learning. It's like I love it. It makes me feel good and is something new to achieve and work on. But
Mm.
then after I finished, I didn't just throw the books away. You know, I had to go back and refresh myself. Have you ever heard the soul saying, I had a data dump?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so now you achieve the goal. Now you just say, okay, forget about it. I'm going to go and work on something else, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
But if you study it long enough and hard enough, it will retain. That's what we call it crystallize. Now it crystallize it. Now it's there. It's in the long-term memory. When you need it, you can recall it.
So we have a question. Katie wants to know, can eating healthy improve memory at any age?
Yes. Yes, 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 yes. The Mediterranean diet is one of the best diets you could go on to retain and sustain your memory.
The
Because guess
Mediterranean?
what? It's very colorful.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about the colors. You know, if you have your fruits and your vegetables, and it plays a role. Mother Nature, you know, it plays a role into sustaining and retaining and keeping us young and feeling healthy, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and one of the most important thing that really help your brain, exercise.
Mm.
So somebody who actually get up 3 to 4 times a week and walk for 10 minutes, fast paced, have a better chance of saving the healthy brain and keeping it healthy than someone who just sit on the couch and be a couch potato.
Watching The Price is Right.
Watching The Price is Right and Family Feud. Well, Family Feud, you can learn something too on Family Feud because then you're like, oh, okay, I didn't know that. So you're learning something. But exercise is one of the best way to help you retain your memory.
All right. Exercise
So
and healthy eating. So
yeah. So one of the things that you spoke about earlier, which is an episodic memory, you
okay.
know, when you're dealing with some kind of crisis or something that really happened to the point that now it really affecting how you live your daily life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it could be good and it could be bad, but it really deal with your, you know, how your behavior is going to change too during that time, which make it implicit.
So Ozzie,
Mhm.
this is Mindset Monday. Talk
Yes.
about how important mindset is as it relates to those experiences in us, that, you know, our mindset or our perspective about said event experience and our ability to retain that in the form of a memory.
Very well. Okay. Now, one of the most important thing that I could really think about is in the mindset way, what have you learned through the experience?
Mm-hmm.
Now, what you learned, it could be good or bad, but what did you learn from it? And that you could strategize into making a change for your life or for someone else in your household or in your community. Because now you have to be able to take those opportunities to make a change and how you could actually find some type of purpose into it to really make people life better.
So I want to flush this out a little more because I put the thought of facts versus perception.
Mhm.
Facts versus perception really stands out to me in this area of the conversation because there are some things that happen that are factual, but
Mhm.
sometimes we can add things to it to add things to the facts, add words to the facts that aren't factual, but they are more of our perception or our feelings and our thoughts about it, right?
Well, that could call false memory too.
Okay, so talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So now, if someone actually going through an event, right? And a member is paying attention, what you retain and what you learn. So if you did not learn and retain anything that is facts of events that really took place, now you're using your own imagination to paint a picture and to color it up. So now if things are not lining up, now it could really be in a situation that actually deter that person or yourself,
Mm.
you know. So is it facts? Now you want the details. You know, where did you get that information from? What research did you get it from? What sources that you could get to support what you're talking about? So it really takes someone of intelligence to really look into it a little deeper to say, okay, I get all of these things, but yet it's not resonating with me, so I can't line it up. So now I have to do some research on it. I have to look into it a little deeper. Am I getting somewhere, or
Yeah,
on
I mean,
right?
I'm listening. I'm just thinking about, again, perspective, perception, vantage point, because somebody, three people could be at the same place at the same time
Absolutely.
and have different recollections of the same event.
And that is true because it really depends on how that person have their reasoning skills really intact too. Are
Mm,
they able to make reasons on what really happening? Because are they really paying attention? What's going on in their mind during that time? Are they distracted? Or they have other influences that is going on in their mind at that time that really not, putting them in on the forefront of really paying attention of what's going on. Just like in the court system, you get three different people, three different witnesses, but guess what? If it's not lining up, unless they're matching their stories together,
mm,
that's where you find the fake news or the falsehood that comes about or the slander that may come about it, because anybody could make up any story, but is it factual?
is it factual?
Is it factual? So therefore, are they getting it from their own personal experiences that they had several years ago and
Hmm.
they got triggered by this situation that came about and they align it with that? So now, in some cases, they could be the one to sabotage the situation because of something that they experienced in the past that now it triggered the
Right.
current situation.
So I want to pause right there. I think um, what you've just said is real critical,
Oh,
especially, excuse me, in this social media age that we live in,
right.
right? Because we have a lot of storytellers out there,
Hmm.
and we need to be sometimes fact checking.
Yes, you got to fact check. And you know what? If you're someone who is an avid reader and always studying and paying attention and really collecting the right information for yourself to really get through this thing called life,
Hmm.
the better you'll be able to handle and make decision making and be able to have good reasoning skills. But if these skills are not adapted, it's going to be a struggle to be able to discern. And that's the key right there. You know, everything that you just spoke about there, Nicole, is
Hmm.
really, do you have this enough discernment to discern right from wrong, fact from false, you know, the truth of the matter? So now, how much information did you gather throughout your lifespan to be able to bring you to the point now that you could be able to say, okay, this is nonsense. Okay, I could believe that, you know, but there's a proverb that always say this, you know, the first person to speak, it may always sound true until they are cross-examined. So
Mm.
when you're actually cross-examined, the whole story may change. Why? Because the first person to speak about it will always sound truthful.
Hmm.
But some people may not really take the time to say, oh, okay, well, let me go get a little bit more information. Let me see what the plan A said or plan B said or who that other person said. So don't just take it from the horse's mouth unless you were a witness to really see it for your own self and your own ears. Now, I have listened to many cases, right? And I'm able to say discern and say, okay, this is just coming out of their own personal feeling, and this is really what happened. So a lot of people don't like to be questioned,
Hmm.
you know, because now we digging into their memory box to see, did you really experience this? Did this really took place? Or you just going through a fallacy?
So, Ozzy, I mean, and I hope, I really do hope this is beneficial to you all, because really what I'm getting from this conversation is there is probably a lot that is being shared that, one, we're not fact checking, two,
Hmm.
we're not using our reasoning skills to be
Hmm.
like, I don't really know if that's really factual, and how can I cross reference that to see, um using our discernment as
Yeah.
well, as it relates to this, and not only with others but with ourselves. Like, what is causing us to have this memory about this experience or this person or what have you? You know, we've talked about, um again, biases that can take place during these times, these encounters. We've talked about our ability to, you know, something that resonates with us, that we are, interested in, or we are, there's a high emotion associated with these
Hmm.
encounters,
Hmm.
which affect our memory, our short-term memory, our long-term memory. So yeah, it's a dynamic situation.
Yes. And really and truly, now getting down into the nitty gritty, you
Mm-hmm.
know, that's called, when we go to this flashbulb memory.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many different terminologies. Excuse me, everyone, for bringing these things out, trying to keep it real nice and
That's
simple.
all right. Break it
You
down.
know, the flashbulb memory is like the vivid memories of specific highly events that took place,
Mm.
you know. So that means we're looking at emotions plays such a big role on it. The deeper the emotions, the deeper the memory,
Mm.
and it's going to be seated there. So the only way for us to really get through this is you have to learn something new. You have to create some new skills into adapting in either to enhance that good thing, or if you want to forget about something else, it must be replaced with something else. It's not going to go away.
Okay.
Not getting off of the subject, but actually we have to really watch what we're watching, what we're reading, and what we really spending most of our days paying attention to and serving our energy into, because these things stay with us.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it may not come out in the real articulation of good verbal language, but within our being, it stays there because now you spend too much time in it. Now, when it's time to really talk about something concrete, you're not able to come up with something to really talk about on the present moment, because now all you could think about is the past. The past, because now you're not present.
So that brings up a really great point that I mentioned on the radio show this morning about rumination, right? That ruminating is continuing to think about a negative experience. Like I call it the broken record.
Right.
Like you keep playing the same tune over and over
and over again. Yeah. And remember the long-term memory now, you keep repeating it, right? Because the brain can't really make a decision on what's positive, what's negative, what's good, what's bad. It just store. It just keep whatever you paying attention to, and you keep on introducing into your own self even deeper and deeper again. So now that's why living a life out of purpose is so important, because now what you need to remember is what you need to store. So you may be someone who's listening to what you call it, ruminology, rumination, and they keep on hearing it over and over and over again. Think about September 11th. You keep on seeing the news over and over and over and over again. Guess what? That's what you're going to be able to. That's what you're going to remember over and over and over again. And what makes it even worse is when you remember it, and now you're talking about it.
Right.
So now when you have a conversation about it, it's even going to stick even more and stay with you.
Now, so you're internalizing it, and then you are repeating it. And not only is the person that you're speaking it to receiving it, but you are receiving it as well.
Exactly. So now they're going to repeat it back to you. You're going to repeat it back to them. And then when you have a conversation the next 2 days later, you're going to bring it up again. Man, can you believe that?
Right.
And you back again. And then you're not even paying attention of what really flowing through you, because your consciousness is not current into presentness. So now if we have to pay attention to that, now we're like, man, this is how I can subtract a lot of things out of my life. Is it edifying to me? Is it building me up? Is it adding value to me? Is it making me a better person? Is it adding growth to me? Is it leading me somewhere? And where is it leading me to? So now these are the decisions that I make on a regular basis, and I train myself into that area. So now what not supposed to be there is going to get deleted. So my brain is already training in a certain area because of practice. Now it's going to just fade away even more. Why? Because what you pay attention to, that's what you become.
Yes, I agree. So we got a comment from Nicole Powell, who we haven't seen on here in quite some time. She says, some people are just great actors and great liars. They tell others lies about you, and the people believe it because they want to believe it. Even when they don't believe that it is your character, they believe the lies. I
Right.
think it goes back to what you just said, Ozzie, in terms of, uh, is this edifying? Is it building up? And if not, then there needs to be a separation from those people,
Right.
those encounters, those activities. Especially if you are checking the folks on it, right? Because again, we've been talking about fact checking, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
discernment and um, reasoning skills. And
Hmm.
so if you find yourself in a place where you can't reason with someone, then you probably don't need to be in their company.
Right. And you gotta remember the amygdala really, is a strong emotional part in our brain that really ignite, especially when it comes to fear,
Hmm.
because either fight or flee,
Fight or
or
flight.
flee. Yeah, you're gonna fight or you're gonna take flight. So
Hmm.
some people they rather take flight or they'll fight. So if you have enough energy and the memory is strong enough to support that, you're gonna stay there and fight and fight and fight. But guess what? It's not enhancing your capacity into growth. So that's where we call it what? Drama,
Yes.
drama. And a lot of people love drama. If it's not drama, it's not interesting to them. If
Mm-mm.
you're not fighting, you don't love me. If
Right.
you're not arguing, oh, that means you don't really care.
Mm-hmm.
That's a mindset.
Mm-mm.
And that mindset need to change because it's not harmony.
Yeah, y'all could say the drama for TV or the movies.
But if you keep on paying attention to that and watching it, guess what? You become it.
Mm.
Because whatsoever man thinketh, so is he, right? So that means if you're sowing your time and spending your time into these things that is not edifying, guess what? That's what's going to be producing out of your life.
So you internalize it and it manifests.
Yeah, you implicit and then you explicit into
Okay.
the world, into the events.
All
And
right.
next thing you know, then you casting blame and not taking responsibility. So therefore, here goes some cognitive dissonance going on and some cognitive distortion going on because now what your brain's supposed to be doing and working in your favor, now you're depleting that energy. So guess what happened? Your brain going to start shrinking. Why? Because if you're not feeding it the right information and store and learning, it's just it's going to shrink.
So Ozzy,
And the vocabulary is not even going to get any better.
are you basically telling us that literally you can be a small-minded person?
Oh yes, very like mustard seed, and it's not even on a faith base.
Mm,
That's small.
wow.
So here it is now. Let's make it even worse. Let's make it even worse. Now, if you added alcohol and smoking,
Mm.
right? Now you actually deteriorating your brain, your liver, and the flow of oxygen to the brain, which it actually need because it need that healthy protein in order to grow and formulate.
Mm.
So
Mm-hmm.
yes, as someone was actually saying earlier, your diet have a lot to do with your health and your brain and the flow of memory and creating new memory because a healthy brain will always want to stay sustained.
Indeed. So speaking of diet, we have a diet question.
Mhm.
Miss Johnson wants to know, this is such an important conversation. Thank you. Our pleasure. What good foods do you suggest for memory improvement? I find it hard to keep track of what I ingest.
Okay, well, if you have a hard time keeping track of what you ingest, now you need to start writing down
So a food diary.
a food diary.
Okay.
So that will help you to remember because now you're learning what you taking into yourself. So now you're writing it down and you're studying it. So now you're going to make the adjustment that you need for that. Now, what helps?
What are some
And I
good
always
foods?
believe, really and truly, to stick with whole foods as much as possible and not too much of the vitamins on the shelf. If you could get the whole foods and eat your health, you will be better off than taking supplements. Now, some supplements, based on your doctor, he may recommend that you take more of certain items because you're so low on it. But the number one thing that I would say is vitamin E, because vitamin E is an antioxidant, okay? And it will really help get rid of the chemicals and the toxins out of your brain. People don't understand, some of them carry metals in their brain.
So, Ozzie, what are some vitamin E rich foods?
Yes. I would say some almonds, some walnuts, some blueberries. I would say one of my most important thing that I like, ginkgo. And I was actually going to save that for last. You know, I was going to drop a little nutritional note up in there, you know, but everybody could go ahead and write this one down. One of my friends who's online right now, Rakita, she know about this one special herb. It's called Gutu Cola. Gutu Cola is a memory herb, all right? And it nourishes the central nervous system. And
you don't have to spell that one, Ozzie.
Gotu space Kola. Gutu Cola. Okay. And that's a memory herb. I advise that you take 2 weeks of it and you take 2 weeks off. 2 weeks, 2 weeks off.
Okay.
All right. But it helped nourish your hearing, your smell, your taste, because that's all dealing with your central nervous system. But also it enhances your memory. You'll be able to go back 5 years, 10 years, even 15 years in memory. That's how well it nourishes your memory. You know, and most of us have to really look at how far can you really remember? You know,
well, I ask people sometimes what is their first memory, because I find that to be fascinating.
Yeah. And one thing that I love about my mom, of course, my mom loved pictures. My mom have photo albums all over the house. So when we want to, one way to enhance your memory is by photographs. Pictures that you have taken when you were a little kid, and you start to recall, wow, where were I? Or where was I at that time? You know, and this is way to really trigger remembering. But remember, the only way to stimulate your memory is by learning. The only way to stimulate your memory is by learning. So if you're not learning nothing, your memory is not going to enhance.
Okay. Wow. So, Ozzie, you have covered quite a bit of ground tonight.
You did too.
We are a bit over our time, so I definitely
we
want
sure
to be
did.
respectful of that. But I did glean a lot from this conversation as it relates to diet, exercise, rest, sleep, our learning capability, our discernment, our reasoning skills, all of those having to do with memory. We got a question from cousin Raymond. He wants to know, where can you get the Gouda Cola?
Okay, GOTU.
Okay,
that's
fine.
You could get it. You could get it on Amazon, or you could go to Vitamin Shop. You know, I make sure it's at least 500 milligrams. I always rather the powder and not the pill, because if you get the powder, at least you could put a teaspoon of it in your smoothie.
All right.
Okay. Remember, 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off.
2 weeks on, 2 weeks off.
Right.
With the powder in your smoothie, or in your drink or what have you.
Or you could get ginkgo. Ginkgo help your blood flow and oxygen to the brain.
Okay.
And you want to be able to keep the oxygen up there. But one of the most important thing too, really, a lot of people don't really stay hydrated. And if you don't stay hydrated, your brain could suffer too, because now you can't really think clearly. If you're dehydrated, you're not going to be able to think clearly. It's going to affect your cognitive reasoning.
All right. So it still kind of goes back to the
everything is
the regular. I mean, just the normal stuff. Like, again, you need to be eating healthy, drinking water, getting rest, exercising.
Yeah,
right. Learning.
Absolutely. And learning. If anything, anybody learned tonight, I would say learn a new skill. I don't care what it is. If it's a new language, learn it. A new dance, learn it. Whatever you can find to learn something new, learn. Because what it does, it helps create long-term memory and stimulate your synapses in your brain and the axons in your brain to grow stronger and longer. The longer it is, the longer your memory is going to last, and your hippocampus is going to stay healthy and strong.
Boom. That's it.
Bam. Bang, bang, as it was said. Yeah. Learn. Like, I love word puzzles, right? And I'm always, now when I play Word with Friends on my phone, it's like I could look at 10 letters and I could form up 10 words in my brain just like that. Why? Because I stick with it. It really I'm learning something new. So now it challenges my brain and my mind to really create. And that's where creativity comes from. And you enhances your imagination.
Yes.
No imagination, no creativity. You're not learning nothing, you're not going to be creative.
And we are
even the rappers, they had to learn their lyrics.
Right.
And some of them dance. So guess what? You got to dance and sing.
Right.
So guess what? Keeping their brain healthy may not be all positive, but guess what? It's enhancing their brain.
Right. We are created to be creative.
Right. Exactly. Indeed. We are.
All right. So we're going to wrap up this conversation. Ozzie, how can folks connect with you?
You could connect with me on, I have an email called theozcorner@gmail.com. If you have personal questions and stuff that you really want to keep within and you don't really want stuff to get and you want it to be more private, you could email me at theozcorner@gmail.com. Or if you could reach out to me on Messenger, Ozzie Daniel, and I'm on Facebook. Or if you need my phone number, you could hit me.
Look and see. Did I do that right?
Nah,
It's the
DAOZ Corner. Yeah, you know, I had to get a little fancy with it. Yes. And, just reach out to me. Most of y'all know me by now. And if you have any questions, any concerns, I even got a email the other day on messages like, hey, they were asking about the subject matter, and really how it really pertained to memory. And I said, well, the only way for you to find out, you got to tune in.
That's right.
You got to tune in and support the show. You know what I mean? Right. Yeah. So continue learning.
Yes.
Continue growing. And don't just do it because, hey, I want to get a paycheck. Do it because it helps you grow. Mm-hmm. The more you know, the more you could share. The more you learn, the more it just makes you more valuable. But now you get to share it with others to make them even much more valuable.
Right. I'm of the mindset that if you are doing better, then we all will be doing better.
Exactly.
I'm doing better, then everybody's gonna be doing better.
Everybody. So the more you share, The more you share, the more you open up yourself to receive.
Right.
That's why I let it all out.
Starts with you. Starts
Start
with
with
you.
you.
Starts with you. All right. So for those of you who have not subscribed to the Conversations with Nicole YouTube channel, I invite you to do so. Also, if you have a Roku TV player or stick, add Greater Works Network, GWN. We got some great programming going on. We are live on GWN right now on Roku TV. We also have the GWN app. That way, you definitely won't miss anything that we have going on there. And we are live on Mondays and Wednesdays at 8:30 p.m. talking about Black and Brown mental health. Also, season 11 of Conversations with Nicole launched last Friday. And so,
Congratulations.
thank you. So, our first guest was Ms. Kendra Bullock Major, who is the executive director of the Orange Blossom Classic, which will be taking place this weekend in Miami, Florida, at the Hard Rock Stadium in Miami Gardens. And so she was my first guest, and she talked about how she got the rights to the Orange Blossom Classic, that was a 10-year in the making venture. And so really, really neat interview, and very phenomenal woman who is a serial entrepreneur. So check out that interview on YouTube, Conversations with Nicole. And we launched our own our podcast, Conversations
I
with
saw
Nicole.
that.
We're
I
on
saw that.
Spotify, on Apple, bunch of different things. I have to ask Gerald about all of those, all these places that we are.
Yeah,
But you can check out
congratulations.
podcasts if you're into podcasts. Now you can, hear the audio and yeah, and see what we have going on. So I invite you to do that as well.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, we're busy.
I,
We doing
that,
things around here, Ozzy. We doing
that's
things.
what's up. That's
That's
what's
what's
up.
up.
In the next year or so, I may have my podcast coming out,
Okay.
so yeah, it will be called The Oz Corner.
The Oz Corner. All right.
That's right.
That's what's
In a
up.
year or so,
I love it.
so
I love it.
production is in the mind.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But in
So
the meantime, I
couple
will
of
do it.
couple of final announcements. We
Yes.
have Singles Mingle tomorrow. The
Hmm.
focus is on music. So our topic is on the music that moves you, the music that
Oh,
moves you. So we will be discussing and playing songs representing the soundtracks of our lives. So that is tomorrow at 8:30. And then on Wednesday, for Wellness Wednesday, I have Dr. Keno Miller, who is a sports psychologist, and we'll be talking
oh,
about Black athletes and mental health. Black athletes.
that's a great subject.
Yeah, so that should
Yes, I
be
like
good.
that profession too.
Yes, 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 yes. So we will be again right back here on Wednesday at 8:30 for Wellness Wednesday. So definitely check us out.
Yeah.
Thank you, cousin Denise. All right, good
Thank
people,
you,
please.
Denise.
Yes, let's keep this conversation going. Let's make sure our memories are not our enemies, and that we are doing all the things that we need to do to maintain healthy and just well maintained memories. All right. So tag a friend again. Share this link with someone that you think may benefit from it. And for those of you who are watching the replay, we appreciate it. And Ozzy, please get you a good night's rest tonight. I know I got you up almost past your bedtime.
Oh man, I mean we cutting it,
We
But you know
cutting
what?
it.
My tea's already made. It's
Okay,
already sitting in a teapot. So it's all good. And after I finish a conversation with you and everyone else,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to take about a good 40 minutes before I wind down
I
because
know.
now I have to get down off that high.
You got to get down off the high. All right. All
Thank you
right.
everyone for coming out, and I appreciate your time. I hope
Yes.
you learned something tonight, and have a pleasant and good night.
All right. Good night, y'all. We'll see you later.